welcome to the short video module, which is actually going to be a book summary of Good to Great by Jim Collins. This is, in my opinion, one of the top 2 best management books ever published. One of my other favorite books is Robert Cialdini's Influence, The Science and Practice of Persuasion, and they're both my favorite books for the same reason. They combine a very rigorous approach to identifying best practices and scientifically proven things that work, along with interviews, real-life situation analysis, and studying really the high-level conceptual things that are going on. In this case, in Good to Great, Jim Collins spent over 5 years with a research team of over 10 people analyzing companies. They were able to go from being mediocre or good companies to being really great companies, and then being able to sustain that greatness for over a period of 15 years. And that turns out to be very uncommon. Companies sometimes become very successful under one CEO, and then they dive bomb after that CEO leaves. They become very successful running a certain type of business, then they change and sell off that part of the business, and their business goes way down, and they're not good at that next type of business they're trying to run. So this book's really interesting because it's basically an analysis of business management best practices, and it's the most thorough book on this topic ever written. That's one of the reasons why it's one of the most popular business management books to this day, even though it was published many years ago. And within this video, I'm just going to highlight a couple of the really key points and takeaways from this book. If you're completing one of our training programs, make sure that you know the concepts that I mentioned in this video down cold. There's many parts of this book you could be tested on, but these are really the most important things you have to make sure and get out of this book and really understand. And the reason that is so that when you are a business manager, or when you're acting as a business manager right now and running your own small business or business department, it's important that you at least consider these best practices, because out of all the ideas in this book, if you just use 1 or 2 of them and really nail that best practice, that can make a huge difference in how fast you're able to grow your business, grow your team, grow your product or service line. And that's what we're all here, is to be really successful. So hopefully you find this really valuable. So first of all, the book starts out talking about how good is the enemy of great. And what Jim Collins is talking about in there is that most of the time, if something is good, then we move on. If this product's good, okay, let's launch another product. Or if the company is doing well, it's a good company, there's not extra effort put in place to make it a great company. If something is good, there's not a lot of social pressure to make it great. Nobody's complaining about it. You know, it's selling, it's fine. So lots of times things don't get to great because they're considered good enough. And that's important to consider because many times, for example, many times in business, you know, if contracts were awarded through an RFP process, a request for proposal process, it might be $1 billion military development contract, it could be a consulting contract, it could be a service provider contract, whatever it is. You know, the group that gets second place usually gets nothing or very little. The group that gets first place gets the lion's share, 80%, 100% of the business. So the truth is, if you want to come in first place, you need to be great at least a few things in your business. You can't be good at everything, or you always come in second or third, and somebody else is going to take the lion's share of the business from you. The next concept talked about in Good to Great that's really important is level 5 leadership. And level 5 leadership is something that is kind of a paradox in that it's about having a leader who is a very strong visionary and looks out for the business and wants the best for the business, has very aggressive, ambitious goals for the business, but is relatively humble and has a lot of humility in terms of themselves. And a good way to explain this is if something goes wrong, they tend to look in the mirror. If something goes right, they tend to look through the window at external things, and you know, they're thankful for having good luck and a great team around them, etc. So that's an important concept to know and study if you're reading this book. The other idea, which is actually my favorite idea out of this whole book, and is probably, out of all the ideas in this book, has definitely affected my career and life and business more than anything else, is the hedgehog concept, which is also referred to as the 3-circle strategy. Now what this is a decision-making model, which is really useful if you're managing a team or a business unit within a larger corporation. And what it says is basically that you should draw 3 circles on a piece of paper, just think about 3 circles in your mind, and 1 circle is what you're passionate about, One circle is what drives your economic engine, what makes you money, what could be very profitable. That's a second circle. And the third circle is what you could be best in the world at. Now the trick here is to look at where the intersection is of those three circles. And what you want to do is only say yes to meetings, partnerships, product lines, services, job offers, career opportunities, life changes, if it fits your passion, can make you money, and you could be best in the world at it. Now some people might want to work for a nonprofit for their whole career, and there's nothing bad about that, but with this model, it takes money into consideration. Most businesses need to make money to stay around, pay their employees, and most people want to make a lot of money within their career or business. So it's important to consider all three of these things. If you do something just for the money, you might hate your job and get stressed out and get burnt out. If you do something just because you can be best in the world at it, well, maybe there's no market for that. Maybe nobody cares that you're best in the world at that one thing, and you'll never make enough money to sustain yourself, and you'll go homeless and eventually won't even be able to do that one thing that you used to be best at. So it's really important to make business decisions looking at all three of these things so you define your product and service line in a way that makes the most sense to you. One example of this is if you're running a business, and say it's a consulting business, and you like doing process improvement consulting, and you're a business manager within that consulting business, one decision you might have is, do we want to launch a supply chain management division, or do we want to launch a project management division? You might look at these two things and see that the supply chain management division of consulting services would be very process driven and very similar to process improvement. It would be a lot of fun because you already know that area well, where project management could be more stressful, a little bit more hands-on, and a little bit less strategic or high level. It might be like more in the granular level of managing projects, and it might not fit something that you could be best in the world at or be extremely passionate about. It might just be a lot of money. So that's one example of how the supply chain management opportunity might fit all three. It could be very profitable, be a lot of fun, you have experience in that area, you enjoy working in it, and you have kind of natural abilities to help in that area given your process improvement experience plus your training in that area. So that's important to use within different areas of your business. Make sure you remember that model. If you forget everything else from this video, the three-circle strategy is the most important thing. A couple other things that he mentions in this book that are really important are the culture of discipline, making sure everyone's really accountable and disciplined on your team, how technology can accelerate your growth, but usually one technology breakthrough isn't the thing that's going to move your company from good to great or from unknown to really famous. And the last two concepts I wanted to bring up are really important as well. And these make a lot of sense once you think about them. They can be really helpful to keep in mind. So the first one is the doom loop. And that is, if your business is doing poorly, you're not going to get much positive feedback. You'll actually get negative feedback. Your employees will lose morale. Your customers won't be very loyal. They probably won't return to you over and over again. And your business will go down and down and down into a downward spiral, possibly until it goes out of business. It's kind of like negative momentum in your business. The opposite of that is, the example Jim Collins gives, is the flywheel. And if you start moving a flywheel, which might weigh 1,000 pounds, and you're moving it at 1 inch a minute, 1 mile per hour, very hard to get moving, and then you get to 2 miles per hour, 3 miles per hour, 5 miles per hour, eventually the weight of the thing will almost feel like you're going downhill because the weight of it will throw itself forward, and you have this momentum behind it. And once that thing gets moving at 10, 15, 20, 30 miles per hour, it's going to take a lot of force to stop that flywheel because it's moving forward so fast. And this is how your business can be ran. If you get positive feedback from your customers, you integrate that into how you do business, you stick to your hedgehog strategy and your three-circle strategy, you invest your energy back into the business, get more positive feedback, then it's this positive loop, this upward spiral, and it's really what can move your business forward like a flywheel, so you get so much momentum that your business does very well for a very long time. So those are the top ideas from good to great that you should really know if you read this book. It's very valuable. One exercise to take away from this video would be to look at 2 business decisions that could be about your business career or about running your business team or your business department or your small business, and look at 2 very important business decisions you have to make right now or within the next month, and draw out the 3 circles of what could make you a lot of money, what you could be best in the world at and what you're passionate about, and only say yes to the opportunities that fit all three, or change what you're agreeing to so that it definitely fits all three of those things. That'll ensure that you're profitable, have fun doing what you do, and become very good at it at the same time. So thank you for joining us for this video. This is businesstraining.com, where you can earn master's level qualifications to make more money.